The Knicks are officially back. The Knicks kicked off their season with a 119-111 win over the Cavaliers, and they did it without two of their core rotation pieces in Mitchell Robinson and Josh Hart. Even shorthanded, they delivered a performance that felt like a team playing with something to prove. This wasn't a squeak-by win. This was a game where they jumped out early, took a punch, and punched back harder in the fourth quarter. They came out of the gate strong, putting up 33 points in the first quarter and getting contributions across the board. Bridges set the early tone, hitting all 4 of his first shots and dropping 10 in the opening quarter alone. He finished with 16 points, 6 assists, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. He only missed 5 shots the whole night, stayed perfect from the free throw line, and didn't turn the ball over once. That's about as clean a two-way game as you can ask for from a starter. OG was a problem all night long. He led the team in scoring and rebounding with 24 points and 14 boards, including 12 on the defensive end. He shot just over 50% from the field, knocked down 4 threes, and was a defensive anchor with 3 steals and a block. He did all that in 38 minutes without committing a single foul. The Knicks needed someone to set the tone with Robinson out, and OG filled that void with a physical, all-around game. Karl Anthony Towns added another layer to the front court performance. He scored 19 points and grabbed 11 rebounds. He only hit 1 3, but knocked down 8 of 9 from the line, showing how valuable he is when he forces defenders to foul. Towns' impact showed up most when the Cavs were making their run in the third quarter. He helped stabilize possessions and keep the paint presence consistent. Even with Brunson struggling to shoot, just 5 makes on 18 attempts, he still managed 23 points by relentlessly getting to the line. He hit 12 of 13 free throws and added 5 assists. When the shots weren't falling from the field, he shifted his game, drew contact, and found ways to score. That's the sign of a guard who understands how to control pace and still get buckets when nothing else is working. The Knicks dominated the glass, pulling down 48 rebounds total. 9 of those came on the offensive end, and the effort on the boards helped create second-chance opportunities that kept Cleveland from ever building on their momentum. During the third quarter, Donovan Mitchell erupted for 21 points and put the Knicks' defense on its heels. The Cavaliers even took a short lead, but the Knicks answered with a 14-0 run in the fourth, flipping the game back in their favor and never looking back. That swing happened with a big assist from the bench. Miles McBride gave the team a jolt with 15 points in 26 minutes. He hit 4 threes on just 6 attempts, added a steal and a block, and finished with the best plus-minus on the team at plus 17. He didn't just shoot well. He changed the pace of the game and stretched Cleveland's defense when things were starting to tighten up. Landry Shamet also came in firing. He scored 9 in 14 minutes, hit 2 threes, and was perfect from the line. Tyler Kolek added 7 points and 2 assists, and Jordan Clarkson chipped in 4 off the bench. Even though Clarkson struggled with his shot, the bench's overall impact kept the Knicks stable while the starters rested. The bench combined for strong plus-minus numbers, outscoring Cleveland's backups and providing efficient, low-turnover minutes. Speaking of ball control, the Knicks turned it over just 13 times while forcing 8 steals and racking up 4 blocks. OG and Bridges were active in the passing lanes all night, and McBride added pressure on the perimeter whenever he was on the floor. That defensive activity helped create transition opportunities and broke up Cleveland's half-court rhythm during key stretches. From a shooting standpoint, the Knicks went 37 for 86 from the field, just over 43%. They were 14 for 40 from deep, a solid 35%. Not scorching, but efficient enough when paired with strong free throw shooting. The real edge came at the line, where they knocked down 31 of 36, good for 86%. That's where the separation happened. While Cleveland had their runs, they didn't get to the line nearly as effectively, and the Knicks cashed in nearly every time. The Knicks also moved the ball well, tallying 22 assists on 37 made shots. That's almost 60% assisted field goals, showing the offense wasn't reliant on one-on-one creation. Bridges led the way with 6 assists, while Brunson added 5 and OG and Shamet chipped in as well. The ball didn't stick, and the movement helped generate clean looks from deep and lanes for drives when Cleveland's defense shifted. Defensively, even without Robinson, the Knicks held their own. Porty got the start in the middle and played 18 minutes. He didn't score much, just 2 points, but he added 5 rebounds and a block, doing enough to hold down the paint until the rotations adjusted. His -4 was the only negative among the starters, and even that was managed. With Hart out too, the Knicks had to dig deeper into their bench, and the extended rotation held strong. 11 players logged real minutes, and the balance showed in the box score. Every position was covered with some combination of defense, rebounding, shooting, or playmaking. Even the guys who didn't score, like Jemison or Yabusele, logged positive plus-minus minute. And that tells you how stable the group was top to bottom. Bridges and OG were probably the most complete two-way players on the floor. Between the two of them, they combined for 30 steals, blocks, and assists. They shot efficiently, played with pace, and showed poise, even as Mitchell heated up. That stretch in the third where Cleveland clawed back could have flipped the momentum. Instead, the Knicks weathered it and turned the game with a huge defensive push and timely buckets. The energy in the fourth quarter was different. You could feel the Knicks tightening up defensively and leaning into their depth. Even when Mitchell looked unstoppable in the third, he was held in check when it counted. Cleveland shot the ball well during their run, but couldn't generate consistent scoring in the final frame, and the Knicks' ball control and rebounding advantage kicked in again. In total, the Knicks starters combined for 84 points, and the bench added 35. The team shot nearly 60% from the free throw line as a share of their total scoring, a great sign of physicality and smart offense. They drew contact, made the Cavs defend for full possessions, and converted their trips to the line at a high clip. It's also worth noting how cleanly they played. Only 13 turnovers, 23 fouls, and just enough physicality without getting reckless. The rotations looked polished, even with new additions and key absences. And for a team playing under a new coach, the chemistry already looked solid. Ball movement, spacing, and communication on defense were all at regular season form. So no Robinson, no Hart, and the Knicks still rolled to a win against a team that won 64 games last season. That's not just a good night, that's a statement. The key players delivered, the bench stepped up, and they closed the door when it mattered. The fourth quarter run sealed it, and the Knicks never blinked. If this is how they're playing with two stars missing, the ceiling only gets higher when the full squad is back. But one thing that's obvious, when OG plays good, the Knicks are so much better. When OG is playing well, the Knicks do more than just hang around. They dominate in the margins that actually decide games. It's not just a vibe, it's buried deep in the numbers. Let's start with the raw impact. In his first 10 games with the Knicks, OG posted a plus 170 in plus minus. That's the highest mark ever for a player in their first 10 games with a new team. Think about that. No other player in the long history of the league has posted that kind of immediate impact in their opening stretch. Across his total time with the Knicks so far, his career plus minus sits at plus 654. That doesn't happen unless a player is consistently pushing the team in the right direction. The team's net rating when he's on the floor, plus 6.7. Without him, that drops to plus 1.6. That's about a 5-point swing per 100 possessions, just based on whether he's playing or not. Those aren't vibes, those are results. That plus 6.7 net rating breaks down into an offensive rating of 119.9 and a defensive rating of 113.2. So when OG's on the court, the Knicks score more and give up less. When he's off, both of those numbers slide. He's the kind of player who elevates the group even when he's not the one taking every shot or grabbing every headline. Now let's dig into what happens during one of his good games. Let's use the 40-point outburst against Denver as a reference point. The Knicks dropped 145 that night and beat the Nuggets by 27. That's not a coincidence. When OG gets rolling offensively, he's more than just a third option. He becomes a serious problem for defenses trying to handle the Knicks' already stacked top scorers. That game wasn't a one-off either. In another example, he put up 23 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 blocks, and 2 steals. He shot 50% from the field that night. When you throw all of that together, scoring, rebounding, facilitating, blocking, stealing, it's the complete package. Those types of nights, swing games. They take pressure off everyone else and give the Knicks a two-way wrecking ball that few teams can match. His advanced stats back this up. His true shooting percentage sits at 59.1, good for the 72nd percentile. He's scoring efficiently, not forcing bad shots, and converting his looks. His shot quality is 61.5, which lands him in the 68th percentile. That tells you he's not just scoring, he's getting good looks and taking shots he can make. Now look at his offensive metrics. His crafted offensive player metric is plus 0.8, 85th percentile. That's elite level production. His turnover rate is just 7%, also 72nd percentile. So when he's handling the ball, he's not making mistakes. His load is 27.6, putting him in the 55th percentile, which means he's carrying a solid share of the offensive workload without dragging down efficiency. He's not creating a ton on his own. His creation stat is 2.8, and that's only in the 55th percentile. But that's not what the Knicks need him to do. They've got primary creators. And to make things even better, I've teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, the go-to app for every basketball fan who loves being part of the action. The season's heating up, and there's no better time to jump in. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass on us. That means you can watch every dunk, block, and buzzer beater while your bets play out live. Again, new customers bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass on us, and $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Just sign up with promo code ModernJam to claim the offer. And if you love the thrill of live betting, DraftKings has you covered. Bet on player props and in-progress games as they happen. Want an even bigger payout? Try same-game parlays and stack those picks. So what are you waiting for? Download DraftKings Sportsbook, sign up using promo code ModernJam, and let the games begin. The crown is yours. What OG does is finish, stretch the floor, and make defenses pay when they cheat off him. His three-point attempt rate is 44.9, which sits right in the middle of the pack at 53rd percentile. He's spacing the floor and shooting 37.2% from deep on the season. That kind of shooting makes a big difference in playoff settings when every inch of space matters. Now let's flip to the other end of the floor, the part of OG's game that really tilts matchups. His crafted defensive player metric is plus 1.4, putting him in the 85th percentile. That's elite defense. He's also posting 3.1 deflections per game, 78th percentile. That's disruption. He's consistently getting his hands in passing lanes, keeping opponents off balance. His real adjusted turnover value, which estimates how often his presence leads to opponent mistakes, is positive 0.3, 79th percentile. Again, that's disruption. He's not just staying in front of his man, he's forcing errors. His block rate is 2.2, which puts him in the 69th percentile. He's swatting shots at a strong clip for a wing. His versatility score is 65.1. That's 70th percentile. He can guard multiple positions, which gives the Knicks flexibility in every defensive scheme they run. His defensive rebounding rate is 0.8, which might sound low, but is actually in the 74th percentile for his position. That tells you he's clearing the boards at a high level when the Knicks need stops. He's also rarely fouling. His real personal foul rate is minus 0.5, 77th percentile. That's huge. He's playing strong defense without giving up freebies at the line. When he's healthy and engaged, the team shifts up a gear. He had a defensive rating of 92.2 over one early stretch after joining the Knicks, with a net rating of 31.7 during that span. That is wild. 31.7 is the kind of net rating that looks like a video game setting, not an actual NBA sample. The synergy with teammates is another layer. When OG and Jalen Brunson share the floor, the Knicks went 18-2 over a 599-minute stretch. In that same span, they posted a net rating of plus 24.7 and an offensive rating of 125.8. That's absurd. You can't ignore those numbers. OG complements the top guys without needing to dominate touch. He enhances the overall flow. And while his passer rating is only 2.9, 27th percentile, that's not his role. He's not there to be a distributor. What matters is that he doesn't turn the ball over, keeps the offense moving, and makes the right reads. He's a play finisher, not a play starter, and the Knicks are structured to make that work. Now let's talk about spacing and stretch. He's taking nearly 45% of his shots from deep. That stretches defenses. Even if he's not knocking down 6 threes a game, the fact that he's a threat forces defenders out of the paint, opening lanes for Brunson and Towns to operate. That ripple effect matters in the bigger picture. Of course, the data isn't perfect. There's no public spreadsheet where you can sort all Knicks games by OG scores 20 or more and instantly get net rating splits. So while we can say that, when he's on and all producing across the board, the team usually wins. We can't slap a clean number on it, but we do know this. When he's not in the lineup, the team's net rating drops by 5 points per 100 possessions. That's the kind of drop that separates home court advantage from a playing game. Injuries have limited his sample size a bit, and that affects some of the long-term splits. But even in limited windows, the effect is consistent. When he's active and effective on both ends, the Knicks hit another level. His combination of efficiency, defense, and off-ball scoring makes him the perfect high-level role player for this group. He's not just throwing up points or locking in one-on-one. He's making every rotation sharper, every help defense cleaner, every possession more stable. He's the kind of player who lifts floor and ceiling at the same time. When he has a strong game, you feel it across all phases: shot making, defense, spacing, rebounding, and error-free execution. Bottom line, when OG is in rhythm and active on both ends, the Knicks become harder to guard, tougher to score on, and better at executing under pressure. He's not the flashiest player on the roster, but the data shows his best nights often line up with the team's best win. He doesn't need to dominate touches or rack up highlights. His impact shows up in the score, in the win column, and in the stats that actually matter. But the same can be said about Bridges. When Bridges plays well, the Knicks are that much better. When Bridges scores 20 or more, the Knicks become a different team, and the numbers back that up. He had 30 games with at least 20 points in the 2024 to 2025 season, and those nights weren't just for show. They often aligned with tight wins, momentum swings, and playoff pushes. When Bridges goes off, it's not just flash, it's function. Take his 33-point performance against Portland. The Knicks won that game by 1 point. That kind of scoring swing is not just helpful, it's decisive. Against New Orleans, he dropped 31. Knicks took that one too. Then in the playoffs, when he scored 25 against Detroit, shooting 11 of 16, they closed the series. That's 3 major games with Bridges in the high 20s or 30s, and all 3 ended in Knicks wins. His scoring doesn't just pile up numbers, it tips the scale. And it's not like he's chucking shots inefficiently. He shot about 50% from the field across the season. That kind of shooting at that volume matters. Efficient scoring means the Knicks aren't wasting possessions. When Bridges shoots well, the offense becomes smoother, more reliable, and more dangerous. Bridges' usage rate with the Knicks sat around 18.3%, but when he was in Brooklyn and scoring more, it was closer to 29.5%. That tells you a lot about his ceiling. When he's allowed to be a bigger part of the offense, he's got the ability to handle it. And when the Knicks give him that green light, they usually benefit. Now look at his true shooting percentage, 58.3. That's in the 66th percentile. Not elite, but solid. Combine that with a scoring load in the 70th percentile, and you get a player who can handle responsibility without dragging down efficiency. When Bridges is having a good night, he's scoring in volume without sacrificing accuracy. That's a sweet spot not many players hit consistently. He also had a shot quality score of 67.4, which sits in the 79th percentile. That means he's not just making tough shots, he's getting good ones. The Knicks offense creates decent looks for him, and when he's taking advantage, it's a win. That's not flash, that's execution. Now let's talk about his turnover rate. His calculated turnover percentage is just 6.9. That's low. That means the ball's safe in his hands. When he's having a good night, he's not just scoring, he's not giving the ball away either. A player who scores and protects the ball is a huge plus, especially on a team that can struggle with offensive consistency. Passing, not elite, but not a problem either. His passer rating is 5.1, and that's in the 65th percentile. So when he's moving the ball, it's generally smart movement. He's not a playmaker first type, but when he's rolling, the passes are clean and the ball flows better. And Bridges isn't just a one-way player. His crafted defensive player metric sits at minus 0.2. That's middle of the road, but still respectable. He also brings solid positional defense. Rim frequency against him is 37.8%, right around the 58th percentile. And his rim protection value is -1, which puts him at about average. Not mind-blowing, but he's not a liability at the rim either. But here's where things get interesting. His real personal foul rate is -1.4. That lands him in the 99th percentile. So while defending, he's not giving up easy points. That's elite. When Bridges plays well, he's giving effort on defense without gifting free throws. That helps the Knicks keep control of games late, when fouls start to matter more. On the offensive glass, pretty quiet. His offensive rebound rate is flat at 0. That's not where he contributes, but that's fine when he's delivering elsewhere. Now look at his load stat, 32.2. That's a measurement of how much of the offensive burden he carries. That puts him in the 71st percentile. So when he's having a good game, it's not just a fluke. He's doing more work, and he's doing it well. In the playoffs, it's a mixed bag. When he had his best scoring game against Detroit, it pushed the Knicks forward. But the overall starting lineup, including Bridges, was outscored by about 8 points per 100 possessions over nearly 300 minutes. So even though Bridges can shine, it doesn't always mean the full lineup clicks around him, but some of that's noise. Look at his individual moments. That key block against Chicago that forced overtime, or the steal against Boston in Game 1. Those are impact plays that flip games. They might not show up fully in the advanced stats, but they change outcomes. The biggest challenge is that we don't have airtight data on on-off splits during his good games. Some chatter online claims the Knicks were better with him off the court during stretches of the playoffs. But those numbers come with caveats. Small sample sizes, weird rotations, and matchup problems can all mess with those results. So while the claim is out there, it's not strong enough to cancel out what the other numbers are saying. The Knicks clearly benefit when Bridges scores big and scores efficiently. 17.6 points per game on the season is good, but when he's closer to 30, that's when the Knicks pull out wins in close games. When he's getting more touches, taking better shots, and protecting the ball, they become harder to beat. Defensively, he's not putting up huge block or steal numbers. His block rate is 1.3, and his deflection average is 1.6, but he's holding his own, contesting shots, and not fouling. That's how you stay on the floor late in games. And while his versatility score is 38.5, which is just in the 41st percentile, it still shows he's capable of guarding multiple positions when needed. He's not a lockdown defender on every play, but when he's on, he provides enough to keep things balanced. His craft offensive player metric is plus 0.7. That's in the 84th percentile. So when Bridges is in rhythm, he's producing like a borderline elite offensive player. That's the real value of a good game. He can carry load, make smart decisions, and hit shots at a level that most wings on the roster can't touch. But again, there's no clean formula here. You can't just say 20 points equals win, because basketball doesn't work like that. There are too many moving parts. Still, the trend is obvious. When Bridges is efficient and active, when he's scoring and involved, the Knicks are better. Not always dominant, but definitely more dangerous. So while there's no neat number that says they're 10 points better when Bridges goes off, the eye test and the stats both suggest his strong nights push them up a tier. The more he scores without turning the ball over, the more the Knicks open up the floor for others. And when he's contributing on defense without fouling, he keeps the opposing team from getting easy buckets. That's a two-way bonus every coach wants. All the numbers point in the same direction. When Bridges is having a good game, scoring more than usual, staying efficient, keeping the ball moving, and locking in on defense, the Knicks benefit. The better he plays, the more room the stars have, the more flexible the rotations become, and the more control they have over close games. He might not always light up the box score, but when he does, the Knicks tend to win. And the Knicks did all this tonight without Mitch and Hart. When Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson are both on the court, the Knicks get tougher, smarter, and more balanced. And the stats don't even try to hide it, even though they were both out tonight. When they're back, the Knicks get a massive lift across multiple categories, especially on the glass, in defensive control, and in second chance offense. Let's start with Mitchell Robinson. His advanced stats scream defensive dominance and rebounding chaos. His offensive rebounding rate is 1.7. That's 99th percentile. He's an elite level vacuum cleaner when it comes to second chances. Nobody else on the roster even comes close in that department. He's practically a walking offensive reset button. His block rate is 4.9, good for the 94th percentile. That's a full-on paint deterrent. When he's in the game, opponents think twice before driving, and when they do, there's a pretty decent chance their shot's ending up in the fifth row. His rim frequency allowed is 42.6%, sitting in the 86th percentile. That means teams are still trying to attack the rim, but with him anchoring the paint, they're often paying for it. He also gets 3.2 deflections per game. That's 81st percentile. He's not just waiting under the rim, he's getting into passing lanes, forcing sloppy play, and disrupting flow. On the boards, his defensive rebound rate sits at 1.1, putting him in the 91st percentile. So he's not only elite on the offensive glass, he's clearing defensive boards at a high level too. But let's talk context. Across his entire Knicks career, the net rating when Robinson is on the floor is minus 1.4. That's over 337 games. So yes, while his individual numbers are elite, the net team result with him in the lineup hasn't always been positive. That could be due to a million different variables: offensive limitations, spacing issues, lineup combinations, but the numbers still matter. He brings elite individual traits, even if the full team hasn't always translated that into big wins in every stretch. In the 2025 playoffs, that story changed. In one series against Boston, he posted a plus 10.6 net rating. He was the only Knick in that series with a positive rating. That shows what happens when he's healthy and active in a locked-in system. His rim defense number sits at 4.9, putting him in the 12th percentile. Not a great look for contest efficiency, but that might reflect how often he's pulled into tough help situations, especially when he's covering for breakdowns. Now his offensive creation is basically non-existent, 0.5 in the 6th percentile, and his passer rating is 1.4 in the 6th percentile too. He's not spacing the floor or moving the ball. He doesn't need to. That's not the role. His load sits at 13.9, which is bottom 5 percentile. Very low usage, but that's the point. He's not there to shoot. He's there to finish, clean, and defend. Now add Josh Hart to the mix. Hart's game is built around versatility, toughness, and filling every single gap. His passer rating is 7.9. That's 95th percentile. He's basically a secondary playmaker who doesn't need to dominate the ball. He creates offense without calling plays. His true shooting percentage is 60.5, 80th percentile. He's efficient, selective, and knows exactly when to push the tempo or make the right kick out. His creation stat is 4.4, 74th percentile, so he's more than capable of generating shots for others. Add his portability at 7.2 in the 83rd percentile. He fits into almost any lineup without disrupting rhythm. Then there's his rebounding. His defensive rebounding rate is 1.0, sitting in the 91st percentile. For a wing, that's nuts. He's pulling boards like a big, and he's doing it while defending across position. His versatility rating is 75.4. That's the 80th percentile. He guards 1 through 4 with ease and still finds time to drop dimes and crash the boards. His three-point attempt rate is 33.1, below average at 32nd percentile. But that's not where he lives. He's not a volume shooter from deep, but he's efficient enough to space when needed. His craft offensive player metric is plus 0.5. That's 82nd percentile. He adds value in just about every offensive sequence he's part of. On defense, he gives you consistency. 2.7 deflections per game, 66th percentile. Rim frequency at 39.7, 72nd percentile. And while he doesn't block many shots, just 0.9 block rate in the 29th percentile. That's not the job. His role is to bother people, switch, and recover. His foul rate is minus 0.3, 71st percentile. He plays smart, aggressive defense without putting teams in the bonus. Now here's the important piece. When Hart and Robinson are both on the floor together, the Knicks post a net rating of plus 0.14 over 186 minutes. That's not a massive number, but it's positive. And in a league where margins decide everything, any positive two-man pairing with that kind of rebounding and defense is worth keeping. When Hart and Robinson are both out, like tonight, the Knicks lose control of the boards, lose interior presence, and lose a key facilitator who keeps things moving on offense. It's not flashy, but it's real. Hart averaged 13.6 points, 9.6 rebounds, and 5.9 assists in the 2025 season when healthy. That's ridiculous production for someone who doesn't even need the ball to impact the game. In games where Hart and Robinson both played last year, Hart averaged 9.5 points, 7.5 rebounds, and 4.3 assists over 69 games. That combo gave the Knicks a safety net. Hart cleaned up on the perimeter, and Robinson mopped up in the paint. The Knicks didn't need them to score. They needed them to do all the things that don't show up in a highlight reel, but win games anyway. Now, their individual advanced metrics come with some red flags. Robinson's net rating in the full sample is still negative. Hart's offensive load is high, 31.2, 68th percentile, which means he's involved, but it also adds risk if he's not sharp. His turnover rate is 8.5, middle of the pack, and he's not a primary scoring threat from deep. But none of that matters if you're looking at what these two do together. Robinson gives the Knicks second chances, erases mistakes at the rim, and keeps the other team honest. Hart turns chaos into points, rebounds like a power forward, and plays like he has a clone on the court. When they're both active, the Knicks don't just look better, they operate with a cushion. That's the kind of cushion that helps in late game possessions, defensive scrambles, and transition breaks. Even though the sample size for them as a duo isn't huge, just 186 minutes, the results are promising. The offense runs at about 1.15 points per possession in that stretch. That's about league average or slightly better. The defense tightens up, the rebounding numbers improve, the pace picks up, and the whole machine hums a little smoother. So while they're both sidelined, you can see where the gaps open up. The Knicks miss rim protection, rebounding, transition play, and secondary facilitation. It doesn't break the team, but it limits the ceiling. When both guys are back, the Knicks get harder to beat, not just because they add talent, but because they fix the things that fall apart without them. In simple terms, Hart and Robinson raise the floor and widen the margin for error. The stats say it. The games show it. When they're healthy, the Knicks are just better. Not in a headline-grabbing way, but in the stuff that wins actual games. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.